That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Marcel the Shell with Shoes On, the directorial debut of Dean Fleischer-Camp, which premiered at the 2021 Telluride Film Festival and also played by South by Southwest and a raft of other film festivals before A24 decides to release it June 24th, 2022. Notably, it is a continuation of a trio of shorts made about Marcel by Dean Fleischer-Camp alongside Elisabeth Holm, Nick Paley, and Jenny Slate, all in various stages of the background, in front of and behind the camera, from 2010 to 2014.
Okay, that was a mouthful. I thought this movie was excellent.
Yeah.
I only agreed to watch it because I read a little line about it and it seemed silly. And I assumed it was a cartoon, but it's not. It's a live action film that uses like
Stop motion
for Marcel the Shell with shoes on. Mm-hmm. The basic story is Marcel is this little 1-inch shell.
Whose preferred pronouns are he, him.
I fully thought Marcel was a girl until someone calls him she.
Well, because he's voiced by Jenny Slate.
And he's like, why are they calling me a she? I'm clearly a he. He lives in this house with his grandmother,
Connie,
and
voiced by the great Isabella Rossellini.
Yes. So the entire film is basically a documentary about Marcel, which is being shot by someone who is renting the house through Airbnb.
Named Dean. Played by Dean Fleischer-Camp.
The director. Okay. What do we know about Marcel? Marcel is living there with his grandmother for the past 2 years alone because the couple who owned the house broke up, and they used to have a community of like 20 other shells. But when the couple broke up, the shells left. And we find out they left with the man. Mark.
Played by Thomas Mann. And Larissa was his wife, Rosa Salazar.
Okay. So Marcel and his grandmother have been in this house, kind of lonely. They do this documentary, and Dean posts some of the content on YouTube, and the shit goes viral. Like hundreds of millions of views. Mm-hmm. So Marcel thinks, well, what if I ask for help finding like my community?
My family, yeah.
And of course, everyone's all into it, but we can get into, I think, the messaging of the film, but no one's helpful. Until one day, Marcel gets an email from a producer at 60 Minutes, and it's been made clear previously that the community, particularly the grandmother, loved to watch 60 Minutes and loved Lesley Stahl. Mm-hmm. So 60 Minutes reaches out and says, hey, we want to do a segment on you, and I think maybe we can help you find your community. They do the segment. They find Mark, so they find the community. Everyone's reunited. The end. And
it's an Airbnb, so Dean eventually moves out and finds his own place and invites Marcel to come visit.
Right, which is, inconsequential to the story. But I don't even know where to begin. It was the cutest, sweetest. It's rated PG. It felt so sweet, so cute, so endearing. I think the comedy is quite adult, but not raunchy.
No, not at all. Well, it's very kind of sad and melancholic. It's
yeah.
Because Marcel's clan, because the relationship of the two owners of the house was so tumultuous, they would had a drill where they'd go hide in the sock drawer because they thought they were in danger. And Mark storms out one night and takes everything in the sock drawer. So that's why the family's missing and they have no idea where he went. So it's just this child and his grandmother kind of finding very innovative ways to get food, since there's none that's really available anymore without these humans living there, and kind of establish a new sense of community.
The writing is so amazing. I had to stop taking notes because I was just writing like every funny thing. Because sometimes, if I don't write the funny things down, there aren't that many to refer to in some movies. But this one I had to stop because it's just lying off. Everything out of Marcel's mouth is cute and funny.
everything seems very well thought out and kind of authentic, as in from the mind of a child who has a, their own unique perspective and kind of sweet innocence about them. Like Marcel likes to dip his feet in honey, and that's what he uses to walk around the walls because it's sticky.
So I'm just going to go through things I thought were funny. Marcel makes rope to use for certain things. So a lot of the documentary is Marcel sharing with Dean, like how he lives his life and all the things they do to survive. So he's showing him like, oh, I make rope out of hair. And it happens to be the hair at the bottom of the shower, which is clearly like pubic hair. But he refers to it as hardy hair.
Yeah.
And then you hear Dean laughing like, fool. Then we see that Marcel's bedroom, he calls it the bread room because he sleeps between two pieces of bread. And then we get like scenes of him sleeping and you see the bread rising as Marcel's breathing. I thought that was so funny. Marcel talks about how, because Dean has a dog, but he's like, we can't have a dog obviously, but I would love a pet. So Marcel pulls around like a piece of lint as his
that
pet.
he talks to, yeah.
You mentioned the honey to Klein, which is called back at the end of the film because when Marcel's reunited with his community, we meet his mom, his dad, his brother.
Catherine and Mario.
And then the brother is like typical like sibling relationship, like they annoy each other. And then we see like Marcel trying to teach his brother how to walk on the wall with honey. I thought that was funny. So Isabella's character, Grandma
Connie.
she's developed new skills in the 2 years that they've been on their own in order to like find food. And so she's gotten really into gardening. And then she's communicating with the insects to have them help her with her garden. So we see like, at one point there's like a drunk bee who drank too much nectar and she's trying to like nurse the bee back to health. And then there's like an earthworm that's helping to cultivate the soil, and Marcel says something like, oh, it's so gross. It looks like something that would fall out of someone's pants.
And she said, or he says, a snake without pants, I think.
Oh, a snake without pants. Oh, I thought he was making a penis reference.
I think it was meant to be. I really like Rossellini, who's, as you can imagine, this kind of gentle, quiet grandmother who's also starting to deteriorate a bit. And they get the offer from 60 Minutes, and Marcel has already decided that they can't have any new people in the house, even though this is an Airbnb, to protect Connie, who fakes getting better by putting color back on her shell with
because
crayon.
Marcel says he doesn't want to do the interview because his grandmother, she injured herself at one point because like a lot of fans come to the house and are disruptive. So one day Grandma gets scared, falls, cracks her shell, and Marcel tells her, I'm not going to do the interview until you get better. So Grandma is doing everything she can to seem peppy so that Marcel will say yes.
Oh, the sense about the messaging about YouTube.
Yes, that's my next note, is that after Marcel goes viral and he asks for help, we get a few scenes of like Marcel reviewing comments. And then he says like, I wrote it down, he says, are they here to help?
He said it's not a community.
And then he says it's not a community, which I thought was really like subtle but powerful messaging.
Well, kind of profound, yeah.
That the idea that social media is like, you can have millions of people who watch you and subscribers and followers, but really it's like, what is it all for? Because when he actually needs something and needs help, no one can help him.
Well, yeah, because there's all kinds of people like stomping around in the yard, but it's not that did the investigating to find where his house is, but doesn't really care that what he needed was help finding his family.
And they're all saying they love him and this and that, and it's like, well...
Oh, and the cameo from Lesley Stahl. I thought it was pretty good.
Well, yeah, she's featured in it. Like, she's doing the interview.
Well, because she asks Marcel right out, like, how long have you been alone? And he's like, well, I don't define time the same way. So he's talking about, like, the seasons and buds opening and dying.
Blooming, and then...
Without, like, missing a beat, Lesley Stahl goes, Dean, do you know how long it's been?
And Dean says 2 years, and then Marcel goes, oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
The writing is so cute. Marcel sounds like a little kid, but he's very smart, very articulate, just everything out of his mouth is so cute. Like what? So then Marcel tells Dean, when I need to find something in the house, I go up high and like survey the land. So why can't you take me to like a mountain and I can try to find, what's the man's name? Mark. I can find Mark's car. And Mark drives a Mitsubishi.
Oh, yeah.
And Marcel trying to say the word Mitsubishi had me on the floor. It's just so cute. What else is there? There's so much. When they're driving in the car and Marcel's getting car sick and he keeps vomiting. And it's just like a little bit of vomit.
I really liked that kind of melancholic streak underneath it though too, because Connie reads this poem aloud to Dean that I really liked, and I looked it up. It's Philip Larkin's The Trees, I think from about 1950, and the theme of the poem, she says something about talking about trees and leaves and their greenness is a kind of grief and kind of this perpetual, perennial death and rebirth that happens in everything, and how that's all part of the process, but it's not really just about happiness. Like there's a certain amount of grief to contend with.
Yes. I feel like I shouldn't keep going. It's just there are too many things that are so sweet and cute and funny. The one observation I made is, I don't know what Marcel's supposed to be. Like, he's not a snail or a hermit crab. He's just a shell with an eye, one big ass eye, and then like a cartoon mouth. And then the other members of his community are also like, some of them are shells, but some of them are made out of like Chex Mix. There's one that's like a cheese puff, a peanut, a pretzel. One of them is a tampon.
Needle and thread.
Yes.
Yes, the anthropomorphizing kind of goes way overboard towards the end. It's like, oh, okay, so maybe it doesn't really matter what Marcel is.
Right. I would absolutely watch this again with people on my own.
Oh, but like the voice work from Jenny Slate is...
Oh, it's so
not,
cute.
not that that's ever been in doubt before, but it's pretty spectacular.
Marcel sings a song. It's so sweet. He sings at his grandma's funeral, I think. Yeah, so sweet. What would you give this film?
4.
I would give it 4. Absolutely recommend it. Anything else?
No.
Hit the thanks button. Listen to our podcast. Bye.